Oh, that's good. That's darn good. Isn't that what you look for every morning? When you have a cup of coffee, you want to be able to put that in your hand, take a swig, and go, oh. It's like cares of the world just kind of disappear. And that becomes even more important for senior citizens. By the way, my name is Russell Volts from Lake City Coffee. Today we're going to talk about senior citizens and coffee. So what is the best coffee for senior citizens? Well, why is that important? As a senior citizen myself, and a coffee expert, I understand that we metabolize, as we get older, the food and the drinks that we drink differently than younger people do. So therefore, coffee, alcohol, things like that are going to have a more profound influence on our body than for the younger people. So let's go into the positives, the negatives of coffee and what that does for us as seniors. And there's a magic number in relationship to moderation. So the magic number is about 400 milligrams of caffeine. Now coffee has been studied probably more than any other drink in the world. Almost every major medical research lab in the country, in the United States anyway, has researched caffeine in coffee over and over and over again. There are literally thousands of studies that have been done on this. I've read dozens in the last few weeks, probably almost 100 different studies over the last 12 years that I've been really into coffee. So based on that almost everybody says 400 milligrams. A cup of coffee is typically about 100 milligrams. So that means 4 cups a day. If you can stay under 4 cups a day, the benefits way outweigh any negatives that coffee might bring to you. And these positives are amazing. So let's go through the positives and the negatives. And this is all keeping in mind under 4 cups a day, at least for the positives. So for the positive effects, one, you have improved alertness. And let's face it, we don't have the spring in our step that we had, 20, 30 years ago. We're a little bit slower and we think a little bit slower. I think that's actually, we're being more cautious, but what the heck. Our memory isn't as great. And don't worry, if you can't remember what you had for breakfast, for our age, that's normal. If you think you have Alzheimer's, you don't. So don't worry about it. So coffee improves our alertness. It also gives us a higher level of physical activity. People that drink coffee typically, particularly for seniors that drink coffee on a regular basis seem to be more active. And because we're more active, we're healthier. Study after study after study is showing this. Drinking coffee has a positive effect that the elderly, I hate to think of myself as elderly, but at least senior citizen level, we're more healthy as a whole. Now, in addition to that, let's talk about some of the maladies that we are concerned about being elderly, and what does coffee do for us there? First of all, coffee is chock full of bioflavonoids and antioxidants, both of which are anti-inflammatory. So all of that, bioflavonoids, antioxidants, inflammatory, is really good, right? If you are a regular drinker and you're drinking less than 4 cups a day, what you're going to find, or what studies have shown, is that you have a significantly smaller chance of getting cancer, stroke, Parkinson's, liver disease, and type 2 diabetes. Additionally, dementia and Alzheimer's, less likely. Your blood pressure is going to be generally more stable. Let me tell you why on that in a moment. But because of your blood pressure being more stable, you're less likely to have cardiovascular disease. Now, reason I talk about blood pressure, caffeine typically increases blood pressure slightly. More importantly, if you're taking the time to make really good coffee, time to make it, time to find it, time to brew it, time to sit down and enjoy it, this is no longer a stimulant. This now becomes a relaxant. And people that have lower stress, guess what? They would live a lot longer. So I call this my stress reducing liquid. It's not a stimulant. It's not to wake up so I can blast off to work. Now, a lot of us, senior citizens, we're still working. Some of us aren't. And either way, we seem to be finding the time to do the things that are important to us, the things that are going to last, the relationships that, frankly, are going to make a difference in somebody's lives. So if we're going to take our time doing things, having a cup of coffee that is almost a religious experience in the morning, to really enjoy it, not slam it down and run, to a job, this is a stress reducer. Now let's talk about the negatives. Almost all the negatives for coffee, physiologically for us as seniors, is a result of overindulgence. So if you drink more than 4 cups a day, that's more than 400 milligrams of caffeine, then there are some negative effects. Now granted, there's some negative effects if you drink less than 4, but it's pronounced when you're drinking more than 4. First of all, as we get older, we metabolize, like I said, our food differently. That's as well as the absorption of our medicines. As we get older, we're not absorbing it quite as much, and caffeine does affect that. So more than 4 cups a day seems to amplify or inhibit certain drugs. So talk with your doctor, right? I'm not so sure I'd even believe your doctor because he doesn't know that much about caffeine anyway. He knows what he's read. That's about it. So, additionally, caffeine has an accumulative effect. What that basically means, if you're already eating or drinking things with caffeine, and then you have your 4 cups of coffee in the morning, that adds up. Now you're at 600 or 800 milligrams of coffee, and the negative effects are going to be worse for you. So the things that kind of stay away from are chocolate, tea, energy drinks. Just look at the label and see if it's got caffeine in it. If it does, add that to your calculation of 400 milligrams per day. On occasion, people, senior citizens that drink coffee can have problems with diarrhea or constipation. Let's face it, at our age, we're going to have that problem no matter what. Metamucil's your friend. That's all I got to say about that. Let's talk about, we talked about the blood sugar a little bit. You are getting a small spike from caffeine in your blood sugar. So I did a full article for diabetics. A lot of what I said there is, I think it's called A Diabetic's Guide to Coffee. Anyway, it's also true for senior citizens like us. Now, here's a big question. Is it a diuretic? Diuretic means you're losing fluids out of your body. So, in other words, the magic number, again, is 400 milligrams of caffeine. That's 4 cups of coffee. Less than 4 cups of coffee, all, what would that be? 32 ounces of coffee are adding 32 ounces of liquid to our body. We're good. That's a good thing, adding liquids to our body. You get over that 400 milligrams, over 4 cups of coffee. Now, all of a sudden, I'm drinking 6 cups of coffee, but I'm peeing out 8 cups of urine, if you will. So you're losing liquids in your body if you're over that 4 cups. So again, coffee, people saying it's a diuretic, yes and no. Yes, if you're over 4 cups, no. In other words, it's not a diuretic under 4 cups. Sometimes people have heart palpitations. That's when the caffeine giving you a little bit of a stimulant there. And insomnia. You don't drink this stuff right before you go to bed, generally speaking. Okay? Some people can. Everybody is very different. Now let's talk about what kinds of beans, roasts, brewing, and drinking processes as a senior citizen should you be aware of and should you be looking for. Now keep in mind, my personal bias is I like smooth coffee. I hate bitter coffee. First of all, it upsets my stomach. And by the way, side note, what's upsetting your stomach isn't the acid in the coffee. That's got nothing to do with it. The acid of coffee is about the same as apple juice. I think it's a 4. Apple juice. No. Yep, 4 on the pH scale. So all I'm saying is not that. What happens is, and this goes back to the beans, vast majority of the industrial coffee companies burn the living snot out of their beans. So Italian roast, French roast, continental roast, blends, gosh, let me go on, espresso, all of those are just different marketing terms for different shades of burnt. When you burn the coffee, there's no oils left. Those oils are what have all the good stuff, the bioflavonoids, the antioxidants, the caffeine, the flavor, the aroma, that's all in the oils. And if you burn those off, all you're left with is charcoal. Guess what? Your stomach does not like charcoal. Don't drink overburnt coffee. That's why my coffee, my beans are, let's talk about the dark, is a very, very dark brown. It's not black, right? So the reason I did that is to maintain as much of the oils as possible. I do a low and slow roast. The industrial coffee companies, everybody else you talk to, they're hot and fast. And the reason they do that is that they're stupid enough to think that time is money. Time isn't money. Time is life. So therefore, we invest that time as best we can. And I invest in my coffee by going low and slow, so there's lots of oils in those beans. Never go to a black bean. If that bean is black, don't drink it. Because one, you're not getting any of you're getting fewer of the benefits, and it doesn't taste very good, and it's bitter and it's burnt. Don't go there. I personally prefer a medium roast. That's a medium brown. What that does for you, gives you all the oils, all the benefits, few of the negative effects of coffee, and it tastes divine. Let's talk. So those are the beans and the roasting. Let's talk about brewing. There's 1,000,001 different ways to brew coffee. Most Americans use a drip machine. To me, that's the second worst way of making coffee. You like it, great. I always say drink what you like, right? So if I say something that I say I don't like and you do, keep doing what you're doing, man. You might want to try an experiment and try my way. Let's just see what happens. My favorite brewing methods, 1, cold brew, because it's the end result is so smooth. Nothing beats it. Oh no, but Russell, I like my coffee hot. Well, do a cold brew, stick it in the mug, stick the mug in the microwave, and you're going to have it hot. It's still going to be the smoothest coffee you ever drank. So that's cold brew, French press, AeroPress. AeroPress is great, made in the USA, one of the few. Almost everything coffee that you can put your hands onto has been made in China. And it drives me nuts, but it's true. If we can get American manufacturers to try to start making American stuff, there's very few options out there. Anyway, French press, AeroPress, I mentioned cold brew, and espresso. I haven't been a big fan of espresso until I actually drank my own coffee beans in an espresso, and it was phenomenal. In fact, you'll find on our website an article and video on that. I think it's called My First Grade Espresso Experience, something on that order. It's fantastic. Let's talk about drinking. If you're drinking really high-end coffee, and believe me, the difference is night and day. It's not just a little bit. It's a huge difference between Folgers or Starbucks, Charbucks. If you like Charbucks, if you think Charbucks is the bomb, is the best thing in the world, you'll hate my coffee. In fact, you shouldn't even be listening to me. Nonetheless, in drinking, if you're drinking high-end coffee and you're doing a good job of brewing, you're not going to want to put anything in this coffee. In fact, one of my customers wrote me and said, anybody, in fact, it was a review, I think. Look on the Google reviews, you'll find it. This guy said, You put anything in Russell's coffee, that should be a sin, or you should go to jail or something like that, he said. But he's true. This doesn't need anything. You don't need sweeteners. You don't need cream to get past the burnt bitter flavor, because there isn't any, right? So that being said, that's all I've got to say really about senior citizens and coffee. Read the rest of the article. The article's got tons more information in it. And if you have any questions, get in touch with us. It's not too hard. Jump on our website, go up to contact us, and you'll talk to Alicia. Alicia probably spends 2 hours a day just responding to emails. So we are very much in touch with our customer base. So have any questions, give us a call, and we will help you to learn how to make a great cup of coffee. Have a great day.